Devon Real, and tell us a little bit about yourself, where we can find you online.
You can go to devonreal.com and you can write me an email either to hello@devonreal.com or devonshigaki@protonmail.com. I'm sure Dave will just link that in.
All right, and then what's the name of your business?
I don't have a business. Everybody's my partner.
All right, and what's the name of the partnership?
Well, it's each person. When I say that, it really means that there is no. My partnership is between you and I, or the person I'm involved with. I think as we explain what blockchain really is, I should turn on some lights for you here. As we explain it, you'll get why there's no longer a necessary need for businesses or entities rather than reliant on each person.
All right, and if somebody wants to work with you, what's the minimal investment?
Well, I don't cover the minimum investment normally in these talks. It ranges anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 as the minimum. It was 3,000 last week, but as we're getting flooded with more and more people, we've picked up 46,000 clients in the last 3.5 weeks. And each one of those people they're my partners. They go into this 50-50 with me, and what we trade is no value of money because you guys control everything. I let you pay me. I trust you to pay me. And the business is structured that way in order to add security for everybody. And I keep trading, and if you don't, I just stop trading. It's simple as that. There's no contract needed for anything like that. It's a decent agreement between two humans.
All right, and when the market goes down on this, do you have a computer algorithm you're working with, or is this are you watching the market personally? If I decide to put some money with you and the market goes down, are you making money on down markets and up markets with Bitcoin? Or
yes.
All right.
So I make money in every market. Sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could explain how that works.
Yeah, for sure. I make money in every market possible because we are using bots, but we're also using algorithms. Most people will try to use just bots or just algorithms and manually trade. It's the marrying of two that really pushes this, because I can't keep up with 129 indicators, but I can put that into a script and make sure that the bots can keep up with it. Now, these bots have what's called a stop loss. Stop loss is sitting, I'm repeating back to myself right now. Stop loss is the engagement of a 2% drop in any of the coins we're currently invested in. Do you want me to wait there? You good? Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So what we do is we have stop losses in place. I mean, you want to trade with a trader who's not going to risk to profit, but profits from risk, okay? Not my risk, other people's risk. We have a 2% stop loss. So if a coin starts to drop, the indicators will engage and tell the bot, check out this coin. Are we going to trade out of this position at a profit, break even, or will it be a loss? If it's going to be a loss, it will not trade out immediately. The bots will then kick back to the indicators and ask it how quickly it's dropping to that 2% drop. If it's exceeding a certain velocity, we'll get out of it when we engage panic sell. Panic sell completely clears you out of the position. More important though is that people realize that even when engaging panic sell in stock market and in this, you have to have other people on the other end buying. So you have to work in liquid markets that have a lot of buy and sell orders. So you might believe in a coin, you might think it represents something really cool, but if the volume's not there, you could be sitting on a sell order for days, if not weeks, if not months. So it's about staying liquid and being able to minimize that risk across multiple coins, and also holding a lot of USDT, as it is the direct correlation to the US dollar.
All right. And next question here. So something I've been doing for a while, as watching the dollar plummet over the creation of it, 99% less valuable than it was. And one of the big reasons why a lot of people are looking for alternative currencies So something that I've been into is silver stacking. And one of the great things, instead of buying a silver stock or anything else, I like to have the silver that I can hold.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, is what makes you feel secure in your investment with Bitcoin, knowing that it's a digital asset, that it's something you can never touch with your hands and never to be able to physically possess?
That's an awesome question. Okay. Well, first and foremost, I want to address the metal game in general. If you look at the value of a metal, what is its main trading value of a precious metal?
Oh, well, the value of the silver is what it can do. So what the use in your computer, the use in your phone, the use in antibiotic uses. So that's
Yes,
like it derives its value and
but
what it can do and what it, so it's needed in the medical field, it's needed
it's
in
applicable.
electronics.
Yes. And here's the main thing though. The main value of a precious metal is not what it can do. It's its tradability. It's what it's worth trading wise. So as we enter an era of digital currencies and digital infrastructures, we're no longer cavemen. We don't put our gold in a cave and then protect it. We have digital assets that are much more secure and encrypted over any type of physical facility you could ever put together. So what makes me feel more secure is that the encryption in place is under no one's control once it is rolled out. It is kind of like a wind-up car. You know, you wind it up and you let it go do its thing. I can't control the car once it's left, but that control is within all of the people involved. You would have to, the way the blockchain works is, here's a block of information, right? It closes up that block and it creates the next key and uses it to create the next block. So every block is reliant on the previous block's information. So in order for the blockchain to ever be hacked, you would have to hack every single block at the exact same time. Everyone. So when I look at infrastructures like maybe a vault, there's only one door in, one door out, but I could overtake that vault. I could rob these people. I could do all sorts of things to drive down the price of silver and drive down the price of gold. I mean, once we've established that we're not going to be trading in these assets that have to be hidden behind rudimentary security systems, we're going to realize that our economy works faster and goes much faster and everybody's honest. So I feel secure not only in humanity, but in the digital realm being much more enforced, reinforced than any physical realm could ever be.
All right. And then next question on the list is, my question is, so what I've heard promoted about Bitcoin as one of the big pushes out there is that it's a decentralized currency. So you can have your computer and you can be mining these cryptocurrencies and you're your own central bank. And that's the like the big plus about it.
Yes.
But the on the other hand, a part of decentralization is who controls the majority of the chips.
Yes.
So with Bitcoin, it's 99% of Bitcoins are held by 1% of the people who own Bitcoin right now. And then there's what is it, Satoshi Nakamoto? He owns 1 million Bitcoins.
Yes.
And then nobody knows who this guy is, but there's someone who has a very large stake. So I feel like the big promotion of it is this decentralization, but then there's also this thing of it's not decentralized with how, you know, Satoshi could easily control it as, or if it's one guy, you know,
okay.
we don't even know that.
Perfect question, Dave. Can I call you Dave or is it David?
Yeah, David or Dave, whatever.
I don't know. I just want to make sure you're going by whatever. That's a great question. I think more importantly, we have to, the numbers can be out there and the numbers can be whatever you want in terms of, because statistics, 1 to 99%, I've heard quite frankly that it's actually 80% of Bitcoin is controlled by 40% of the actual people involved, because the people that originally started, it's not this FD99 to 1, and it can't mathematically be that way because Satoshi Nakamoto owns 1 million Bitcoin, meaning there's one person right outside of that 1% of people that are actually fluctuating and moving Bitcoin, which is the true calculation of who's owning it and moving it around. You can't put him in that realm because he's never touched it or never moved his wallet and never tried to do anything. So control is the essence of actual moving and pushing and making it work. But more importantly is, what are they going to do? Be honest? Like, go ahead, have these transactions occur on the blockchain. All that's going to happen is over time, those people that own those large amounts of Bitcoin will slowly degrade because they can't do dishonest things like they can with certain currencies right now, every currency right now. So over time, it's going to be like an acid bath for those who decided they were going to try to capitalize, because the blockchain can't be controlled at its core by one person or by one entity, because it forces verification and trust between you and I, meaning there's never a chance for you to get one up on me. You have to do what you said you're going to do, or you just don't transact in this world.
Right.
So it goes to a deeper level. It does. Those people can control it, but at the end of the day, all they can do is be honest with their money.
Yeah, they can't do any under the table transactions.
Exactly.
Let's see. And then, okay, so you explained earlier about the blockchain and how it stays secure with one locking on top of the other and the whole block needing to be broken at once. My question is, with the rise of quantum computing, do you think it's possible, and how fast technology changes, that this block down the road will be something that can be hacked?
No, and I actually will read you this exact mathematical equation. It might sound kind of boring, but I just had this conversation with a very high up person in Bitcoin. I'm pulling it up on my phone, okay? Here it is. A private key is 256-bit value, meaning there are approximately 1.1579 to the power 77 possible keys. There's millions and millions and billions of different ways you can go about this. But there are also the 1.2288 invalid values, but subtracting them from the full set goes beyond precision. We're working here. It comes up to like 1 trillionth of a chance that this would occur. Now, not only with quantum computing, you would need roughly 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, approximately 365 days in a year. That's going to be 3.15 seconds per year. Okay. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but let's get to the main part here. Beyond that, let me pull this up here. It's a lot of math for people, and I don't want to like bore them with it. But the amount of quantum computing, how much time it would take thousands of years, starting way back at the beginning of the time. We'd never be able to catch up because the blockchain is scalable. So whenever somebody tries to hack it, all it has to do is add another digit to the very end, and it would have to start all over. Whatever DDoS attack, whatever there is, it could never physically, mathematically happen. And I know there's a lot of opinions out there, but if a person were to look at the math and the ability of quantum computing and the ability of the blockchain to scale upward, it doesn't matter how powerful your computer is. It could be quantum computing, and okay, the quantum computer got the answer, and all of a sudden the blockchain says, well, we'll just tag up another number because it scales with it. Now you have to have an octo computer. So it goes with it. It rises and falls in security because it relies on the network. If it ever found like a leak in one person, it would just instantly kick back. The system would not allow it. And it's a system that no one has control. Once it's wound up like that toy and let go, I don't have control. You don't have control. Nobody has control. So there's no weakness in that network.
All right. Sounds like we got the Terminator on our hands.
The Terminator that won't hurt us.
All right, let's see. So with these Bitcoins, there's a lot of computers being used, taking up basically I mean, the price of the computer and then your energy, if you want to be a miner for a Bitcoin,
Yes.
is, but it's from people who I've talked to who have been doing the mining, the big expense they have now after they pay off the computer that they bought to mine it is that constant energy it's using.
Yeah.
And then this is energy being used to hack a code of, so basically your energy is being used, you're using all this energy to hack this code that some Satoshi Nakamoto made up.
Okay.
And then that's like from what I understand, it's your reward is hacking that code. And then
Yes.
what I guess what I don't understand is, like, to me it seems a lot like when you're mining for Clash of Clans, and you know what I mean, you have to do this and then you wait for your computer to make your, you know what I mean, get your code hacked, and then you get your gold. And then but then there's nothing physical there at the end. You didn't actually mine gold.
Yes.
So I guess in the rise of the thousands of Bitcoins,
Mm-hmm.
or not thousands of Bitcoins, but thousands of what Ethereum and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dash and all the other cryptocurrencies out there, which there's already over 1,000. You have people like Paris Hilton going on Twitter and recommending ICOs.
Right.
What
That's a smart one.
what's to stop? Just what's to stop another Ethereum or something that is a stronger blockchain from taking over the spot of Bitcoin?
There's nothing. And that's what I need people to understand. I don't care about Bitcoin at all. I care about the blockchain. And if the blockchain serves a better purpose and is more efficient, that is the whole point. We need a world that doesn't operate on worrying about taking over this person and taking over that person. We need to start working together like bees and ants. Like, these animals have figured out how to survive the toughest of infrastructures and be surrounded by anything that we would consider horrible, but they've worked together because they don't have a currency system that tells them the value of each ant. They don't have something that says you're worth more. The blockchain enables us to embrace our humanity. It is the tangible verification of truth. That's as simple as it gets. It's not some complex thing like AI or quantum computing or CRISPR and GMOs. It's a very simple, straightforward algorithm that has the butterfly effect larger than anything else in our life. Let me ask you a question. What is the first emotion we feel when we're born? What is the first emotion we are given? The only tool we're given on the day we're born?
It's love.
It's
Is
not.
the first emotion when you're born?
Yes, we don't know love. We don't know happiness. We don't know these things. The first emotion we're given is trust. Why? Look at this. A baby will latch onto its mother before even opening its eyes. It's the only tool we are given in this world to survive is trust. We must trust we're being born into a good situation, because if we're not, that's the end of our existence. So taking that from its very core, hold on, let me finish. Trust is the foundational emotion. Your happy is different than my happy, right? Your sad is different than my sad. They could mean totally different things. But when I say trust, it is the only frequency we all understand right here. There is no other value for trust. There is no other word for trust. There's no replacement for that. And I can prove that chronologically, step by step, as we talk this out. Think of it this way. If you get involved with a situation that you trust and it goes bad, you're angry, you're unhappy, you're sad. But if you get involved with a situation you trusted and it went well, you're happy, you're glad, you're joyful, all of these things. Trust is the foundational emotion. It is the anchor to our humanity. It is everything that religion, politics, countries, continents has tried to embrace, because they said at the very beginning there was a group of people, right? Whether you believe in God or evolution, there was a group of people, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. When that group had a disagreement, they broke off and said, we don't trust these ones anymore. Let's go form our own group. We got continents. And then when they said, we don't trust these guys anymore, we got countries, and they went off and started their own thing. And then when people said, well, we don't really trust our country, we have a moral code that we feel, they said, okay, well, let's go do our own thing. And they formed another group and started religion. Then religion gave birth to politics. Each one of these has one factor in place. The group did not trust the previous group, thus forming the new group. The importance of the blockchain is it is the algorithm that gives us verification, allows us to 100% trust each other. So by injecting trust back in society, we start to remove all of these divisions we've created just as a sub-factor to what we've done. We start to be able to trust people again because it's just a fact. It's a mathematical equation. It's no longer a question of can I trust you, it's just the system trusts you and that's it. So think about the ramifications of what that's going to do for people. We no longer will have emotions will start to dissipate. We won't have situations where people get scammed or hurt or lied to because it's all based on the blockchain. It's all based on an algorithm of trust that gives us back that power. We've given all these people our power. The masses of the world have given governments, the politicians, the religious leaders, celebrities, everybody power because we trust that's best for us. But now that we have a system, a real system here, already made, not complex, not in the future, here, we can use this. And it will start to remove those emotions. And when you remove the emotions, you remove the objects they're tied to, the words. We will stop speaking 2/3 of the words we have right now because of the blockchain, because words become relics. I mean, how often do you use the word compass?
Not very often.
Exactly, because we don't need it anymore. And when we don't need these things, those words no longer get used. And when those words don't get used, those things turn into relics. And when they become relics, they become history. This is much bigger than money. This is so much bigger than the financial sector. This is the evolution of our species on a technological level that we've never seen before. It gives us everything that everybody else has tried to.
So on that, I guess one of my things is I lack trust, especially in the government, who from all kinds of documents we understand are spying on everything we do. And then now we have this blockchain technology where you have a government who wants to tax everything somebody does. They want their piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. And this is the money that's being used to stuff that people who do stand up and have a moral code and are saying, I don't want war. I don't, you know what I mean? The only real way they can stand up to this government is to stop paying these taxes and stop letting them steal all this money from them. But now they have this blockchain where they can see every single thing you do.
Yep.
And yeah, to me, like trust, I think, is an issue, especially when it comes to a country that's just blowing the shit out of people across the other side of the world, and cops are killing people in the streets, and then, you know.
So look at the ramifications that we'll have if we inject trust back into society. We don't have these situations anymore. And though we have a government that wants to fight against this, this is like bleach to bacteria. They can fight all they want, but it's not going to change the fact that it purifies and cleans out every entity it touches. And I can give you a real world example. You know about Silk Road, correct?
Right.
Silk Road and the dark web. Very little people realize that the only reason that got shut down was because of the blockchain and because of its tie to Bitcoin. These guys thought, great, you know, the anonymity is there because it hides your information. But it's really not how you think about this process. The anonymity lies with the users that decide not to be shitty people. That's just straight across the board. But if you get caught one time in your life, they can follow your blockchain transactions and find out every person you were involved with. Now, think of that. Think of what that will do subconsciously for the human psyche. If you realize if you get caught one time in life doing something bad, you and everybody you did it with gets caught. So 27 years from now, you can get in trouble for what Joe Schmo did. So you're going to innately become a better person. You're just going to be like, no, I'm not going to do shitty things at all. Like this is pointless.
That's kind of my point in the distrust of it though, because it's what do they determine to be shitty? Like where you're at, it's fine to smoke weed, but
Who's
what about
they?
here where I'm at? Well, the people who are arresting people and putting them in jail cells.
But that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the users on the blockchain. So if you want to talk about the people like the governments, is that what you're referencing?
Right, who's going to be able to see this? They have access to the blockchain too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they see what's going on.
Yeah.
They're the ones who arrest people at Silk Road. That's the reason why they got caught. So you
Yeah.
end up when everything's on the blockchain, you're going to get caught for, you know what I mean? You're going to be some guy who's minding his own business smoking weed somewhere where it's illegal. You're
Yes,
going
but
to
how
be
did it
someone
become
who
illegal?
is what's
How
that?
did it become illegal?
How did it became illegal through the forestry industry wanting to get rid of the competition.
Exactly. And the blockchain supersedes that. It's below that whole power because things that don't need to be illegal won't be illegal because there's a website like onepoll.com that allows us to vote as humanity. It allows every user to vote and your voice is equally heard and no one controls that blockchain. No one can come in and shift it and change the rules. So if half of the world agrees or if the world agrees we should smoke weed, then the world decides. There's no country or government or other entity that tells us what's okay anymore. This isn't anti-establishment. This isn't anti-government. It's just anti-enslavement and anti-somebody sitting over your shoulder all the time. Like, I don't need that because if I'm innately a good person because of the decisions I make on my day-to-day life, I'm not going to be doing things that the rest of the world would disagree with.
I guess it doesn't matter if the rest of the world disagrees with it if you have thugs with guns who are going to come and arrest you.
But the thugs with guns no longer exist because we root out the problems within the government and judicial branches. So all of these conspiracy theories, and when I say it lightly because there's a lot of truth to them. That's why, and the reason is because we see what these guys are doing finally. But imagine if we were able to catch it at its very root. We'd never even have these issues. So what I'm talking about is instilling the very basic core. If trust is our foundational emotion, can we agree that trust is the foundational emotion that has tied every other emotion together?
Well, I personally believe it's love is the foundational emotion.
Yes,
and I think trust comes from that emotion.
Love comes from the idea of trust. I know it sounds so simple, but we're even a genius can miss a simple thing. And we have forgotten. Think about our dollar bills. It says, in God we trust. That 1%, those guys holding the guns that you're talking about, they know the power of trust. That's why they print it all over everything. But then using the word God, it was the scapegoat because everybody said, oh, in God. And they got stuck on this idea that it was all about God, but really the words were about trust. We innately said, oh, trust. Trust is what I feel. I feel it. You feel it. Okay, this is good. Trust is being exploited right now by the 1% that you were talking about. Those people that really do hold the guns. But I'm putting my gamble, I'm betting on humanity. I'm willing to say that at the end of the day, the guys holding the gun, first off, the military, hates the government more than we do. They're the ones that are like the lapdog to the government. So if that's the case, if they tried to say, go start taking out your own family members, not only would that cause a mass-wide issue because we're so connected as individuals, we have so much social media and everything else going on, they can't pull these things off anymore without people noticing. Everybody's got a phone and they're just like, world star, world star. Like, you can't get away with these things anymore. So I'm putting my bet on humanity that when it comes time and they say, go start arresting all your family members and start shooting them down, I'm going to say no, they're not going to do it because that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. When you ask me to turn on my family, when you ask me to turn on the ones that I love for your gain, I don't care how much money you're paying me. I don't care what rules you've put in place for me to do it. And I believe that a majority of the world feels that same way. Like we hear about the bad things in the world. Nobody's covering all the good things that happen. There's a lot more good. And you can look at it statistically that there is a lot more good. Why? You look at the death rates and you look at the birth rates, okay? Then you look at the death rates that are caused by acts of violence. The acts of violence and the amount of birth that's coming into this world there is a massive influx of good versus outgoing bad. That is a just straightforward statistic. So when somebody says, I feel it, no, you can feel it, but at the same time, you can prove it with math. It all comes back down to math. And if math is ingrained in everything around us, I'm not saying I know where we came from. I'm not saying that I know where we're going, but I am saying this is the piece that Jesus missed. This is the piece that Buddha missed. This is the piece that every religion missed because they didn't have mathematics at their disposal. They didn't have equations that could say, no, we don't need to trust some imaginary person. We don't need to trust like the evolutionary stages. We just need to trust that this math is correct.
Alrighty. And then, let's see, we kind of got into this next question, so I'm going to skip it. I want to show you, tell me if you can hear this video here.
Yeah.
This is Gavin Anderson, and he's the lead tech in Bitcoin, and it's an interview that they were having. Can you hear it right now?
I cannot.
Okay, hold on. Let me take my headphones out.
Okay. So we're live, but are you going to edit this too?
Yeah, I'll probably go in
Has
there.
the FBI called you guys? The CIA? Have your phones been tapped?
Actually, I'll be giving a presentation talking about Bitcoin at the at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, in the middle of June. So Bitcoin has definitely popped up to the intelligence community's radar, and I'm going to be very interested to find out kind of what their concerns are, and try to find out a little bit from them of what do they think of Bitcoin. I mean, it's
They invite.
All right. So were you able to hear that?
Yes, yes.
All right. Did the video share work or?
No, the video share didn't work, but I heard him talking.
Okay. So basically that's Gavin Anderson, who's a lead tech over at Bitcoin. And this was in 2011. And it was about 2 months before Mt. Gox. You know about the Mt. Gox crash?
Yes.
So 2 months before that, he was meeting with the CIA in they have a, what do you call it, like a hedge fund where they buy a bunch of stuff with it. Let me put these headphones back in. And so it's InQtel is the name of the CIA's division, where they make investments out of. And they'll invest in companies like Facebook so they can keep track of what everyone's doing and stuff like that. And so they met with that guy. 2 months later, it crashes to almost nothing. What's your thoughts about the CIA being a large investor?
Oh, hands down. I 100% believe it. As we transition to a digital era, like these guys realize being the 1% for thousands of years, passed down through royalty and passed down through if you look at the way we have transitioned with people, it's been the same people at the helm for thousands of years. Like families have ran for thousands. That's why we have royalty, because they have this concept down to a T. They know how to transition. So yeah, JP Morgan called Bitcoin garbage, and then the next, same day, he went and purchased $250 million worth of Bitcoin, including with Goldman Sachs, and then applied for a patent on blockchain technology and got denied for it. So these guys are doing everything they can to scramble in, and I say welcome them, because again, it's going to be an acid bath. They think they're going to be able to control this unit, but controlling a machine that is only built to work one way is not really control at all. Like, it's going to force them to be honest and push them into the light. So by all means, I welcome the CIA to get involved. I welcome politics. I welcome Google and Facebook and every one of them, because all it's going to do is the blockchain will twist their infrastructure and change them into a new animal that serves the people rather than the people serving it. Entities are here to serve people. If they do not benefit the public, they should not be in existence. And if they are, and where people benefit the company more than the company benefits the people, that's called modern day slavery. That's it. There's no other way to look at it.
Definitely. Okay, so there's something I've noticed in the media is if they're talking about someone, that someone's not going to bring a change. It's something that I was someone who supported Ron Paul, was behind him.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I noticed at that time. He might have been someone who they were afraid of, and I'm not sure about it if he was, but he seemed like he could have been. And how I knew that's possible is they refused to talk about the guy. They wouldn't even bring his name up. And then it's let's see. So my question is, if Bitcoin's a revolutionary currency, they'll wipe out the bankers like people are telling us it is.
Mm-hmm.
Then why are they talking about it on the banker-owned media?
Well,
and then
I mean, I think you answered your own question there. If it's going to wipe you out, you probably want to talk about it.
Well, it's just going to bring attention to it. They wouldn't talk about. It's kind of like Trump. Trump got $2.3 billion worth of media coverage, and people were telling us that this guy was going to be the new savior, who's going to he's going to clean out the swamp. What does he do? He puts the same bankers back in the business.
Yeah.
He adds more people from the swamp in there than ever before, and this guy is going to be the guy who drains it after the people who we know control the country are there putting billions of dollars into his campaign. So if they're talking about something, they're trying to promote it, or it's been their pattern in the past.
Either they're promoting it or they are trying to demote it. Okay. Society works in two ways. We either talk about something to lift it up or we talk about something to push it down. And that's why we have all these People magazine and this magazine and TMZ and every other thing out there. So the fact that Bitcoin is being talked about tells me one of two things. Either A, they're afraid of what it's going to do, or B, they're trying to get on board because of what it's going to do, because the end result is still the same. Math is still the same. 1 + 1 still equals 2. So when they look at it, they're like, okay, what do? We got to talk about it because this could go either way for us, but not for the blockchain. The blockchain is going to continue to plow its way through, just like it did Silk Road, just like it's done all the banks, just like OnePoll is going to do to the election system, just like Nexus is going to do to the entire web infrastructure, so we have free internet around the world. The problem they're facing is that we are now so closely networked and knitted together that the groups they have put together over thousands of years no longer matter. I can talk to anybody in the world I want to straight through Facebook. I can message them and say, hey, what's up, Eminem? Hey, what's up, Michael Jordan? If he reads it, that's a different story. But the connection is there, and that scares them. And when I say them, I'm talking about the people that have put all of these infrastructures in place. Maybe a lot of them are bad, maybe a lot of them are good, but it doesn't matter because the blockchain removes the need for those infrastructures.
All right. So as far as I mentioned earlier that I like to stack silver. It's something that I can hold. And then as far as a store of value, it's something I look at as, I know that thousands and thousands of years ago, this was something people were using, they were trading. I know it's something that's being used, and it's being more than they're mining, they're using it through all the industrial uses and with us being in the digital age, the Bitcoin age.
Yes.
Things are digital now. Silver's not going away because it's the best conductor of electricity, and it works the best for these gadgets. So it's something that I can see that it's been a store of value for thousands of years, and it's something that when I look at my kid, it's something I can think, okay, if I can put this away for a savings for him later, that's something that's going to be worth something for him.
Yeah.
Where's your security in a Bitcoin where it's a store of value?
Well, I mean, silver is a great commodity. You're 100% right on the fact that it is the best conductor, and it's going to continue to be used. But what is currently backing our systems?
What is currently backing?
What is currently backing our systems? Not silver.
What do you mean?
Gold. Gold is what we supposedly are backing our systems with. How many towers?
Not since 1970.
But the whole point is the public understands that, yeah, they might have transitioned, but the gold-backed systems are what built everything to now. Like since 1960, so you can shave off the last 60 years of humanity. But you were talking about back thousands of years ago. Let's go back thousands of years. Gold has been the precious metal that most people have always traded on. So the biggest scare here is public perception. People don't realize that we haven't been trading gold since the 1960s. So they just run with the flow. They go with it and they say, okay. But what Bitcoin challenges specifically, and again, I want to address that I do not stand for Bitcoin in itself. I stand for blockchain. And if blockchain chooses another coin in order to raise humanity to that next level, I'm going to be there for it. But taking what you said, gold has been the most thought of. You ask 95% of Americans, they're going to say gold. They're going to say it's gold backed, right?
Right.
They don't understand. So it's about public perception. And when you realize that Bitcoin can replace gold, the trading value of gold completely dissipates, crashing the economy. So my question right back to yours is, how can you feel confident in a system that, and maybe not you, but anybody that's watching this, that is already not been working since the 1960s, but let's just say it's been working all the way till now, and it can be replaced. Thus, the trading value of gold, the only value gold really has is its trading value. There's no buildings built out of gold. The only people that build tons of crap out of gold are the princes in Dubai. So maybe they'll be the only market left to purchase gold. But what scares the big guys is all the gold they've shoved in their caves to save away for a rainy day. They're going to stand there and go, wait, this is worth nothing anymore? This is worth nothing? That's what they're afraid of. We take their power without even having to fight them.
All right. And then, yeah, I completely agree with you. And anybody, I think, who's out there and who's looking at a dollar and thinking that they're holding on to something really needs to second guess what they're thinking. And that's why we're here talking about a Bitcoin, talking about silver, talking about something to get out of that. That's you know, I mean, you're in something that's, it's getting ready to fall apart.
Well, I can tell you this. I feel steel and aluminum are going to be more expensive than gold, hands down, very soon. Because again, the gold infrastructure has been ingrained in people's minds for thousands of years, that this is the most precious metal and this is what we trade. But when you take away the only thing that it's worth trading, it's worthless. It's gravel.
What do you think about people trading gold-backed cryptocurrencies? Have you heard of any?
Yes, and I think that is just a complete scam, hands down. Hands down. If there is any hand in those, that I would put it on Goldman Sachs. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's pretty interesting that we can somehow back a cryptocurrency with gold when you don't need to back a cryptocurrency with anything but the digital asset. The actual process of mining with the computers. So mining is no different than real world mining, except we don't waste hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on gas and digging and jobs that people don't need and all of the risks involved. And you don't have to travel around the world. Think of it like this. If anything, a finite number tells us that we have finally reached a pinnacle of value. Saying, so the more people that trade on Bitcoin or any of those currencies, the value can't change. But if we were to be out there digging around in the dirt and we found a new ore of gold, all of a sudden the price of gold is all over the place because we just found a new amount of it. Whereas with Bitcoin, the number is finite, meaning no one can add more, no one can take out. It is exactly what it's supposed to be. Thus, it avoids manipulation. It avoids real, true volatility. If people want to talk about volatility in Bitcoin, look at the volatility of gold's back. Like, look at all the history of what gold has done. It has had the steepest falls and the highest rises, because it was based on its tradability. If no one's operating on that system, gold has no value.
Yeah, and it's been highly government manipulated markets through, I mean, hundreds of years.
Yeah, thousands of years, thousands. Why do you think that our ancestors idolized gold? Because that was the main thing that seemed precious to everybody. Why? And so you could give away gold and get everything in return. But when you take that away from society because we're not cavemen anymore, it scares the big boys who've spent thousands of years collecting it. All the royalty in the world, all the dynasties, every family that has gone through the ages collecting gold and building their empire, in an instant lose all their value.
All right. And then my next question is start with a quote from Voltaire. He says, paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero, which, talking about currencies like the dollar, eventually it's going to be worth the paper that it's printed on. With that in mind, what's the intrinsic value of a Bitcoin?
Well, a Bitcoin cannot be made without spending at least $2,100 on electricity just to make it. So like, let's say the market crashes, the intrinsic value can never be below 2,100 at this point because it takes that much work to even make one, that amount of calculation. So if somebody were to like drop an EMP on us, that would not be an issue because at the very start, we would start over again and Bitcoin would have that value right away. And if people keep track of their hard wallets like they're supposed to, an EMP doesn't matter because you will be able to just retrieve all of your stuff, they reboot the system, and you're good to go. If in the same scenario, what if we dropped a nuke on all of the vaults that held all the gold? You can't come back from that. It would just be gone. But with this, you can go ahead and turn off the systems and erase them. But if everybody has their serial keys, their numbers to their wallets, all you have to do is reboot the system, throw up the blockchain, and everybody puts in their value and everybody's right back to where they were. So I have faith in a system that allows all of the power to rely on the people. None of it relies on a centralized system. And though Bitcoin might be centralized in volume, it's not centralized in control.
All right, and where does someone get the private wallet to get your Bitcoin off your hard drive? So when you have a hard drive crash, you don't lose all your money, and you have
Electrum. Electrum is a great wallet because you get a seed and you get your own keys to control your wallet. So there's companies like Coinbase and Blockchain, but they won't give you your private keys. Not that they're being bad, it's just that it takes a lot of work to run your own wallet. And if you lose those, not a lot of work. Let me take that. It doesn't take a lot of work. It just takes responsibility. You have to be an adult and not lose your social security card just like this. You don't lose your wallet ID and your safe words and all of that. If you keep all that in order, there is no risk. We could get right back to where we were.
Right on. Well, I think that clears up my questions about Bitcoin.
Sweet.
Right on, man. We end the live broadcast.